DoorDash LCO. It's time for game 2 on day 5, and that is going to be Pentanet taking on Order. Now, we're going to go through this pretty quickly, I think, because it looks like we're already behind schedule after a thrilling first game of the day. Anyway, let's have a quick chat about Pentanet first. We know them, we love them. You guys know them? You guys probably love them. I hope you do, because they're very fine gentlemen, all 5 of them. Now, Jordan, tell me, why is Chaz so damn handsome, and how's he leading the ship today?
That's because he's just an alpha male, mate.
Oh, of course.
He throws out that alpha male energy, and I think that's why he's so handsome. Very similar to yourself, obviously. Now, look, as far as the Pentanet boys are concerned, I think they've generally looked pretty good this season. There is some sort of shakiness. You're starting to see a little bit of shakiness, I guess, is fair to say, and some susceptibility. But as a whole, I mean, they're still looking like the top team in the region. It's still looking like they're going to be able to go through this split pretty comfortably. And I guess I'm not really too concerned by what I'm seeing, given it's pretty early on in the piece. We've sort of spoken about the fact that they might not have had that time coming back off MSI to be able to run into Split 2 as comfortably as they might have otherwise liked. That said, you know, they're sort of still getting it done, right? They're getting the wins where they should. They did drop that game to Peace, but realistically, it kind of looked like they were going to win that game anyway. So for me, that kind of speaks more than the actual statistics and like the win-loss record on the board. It's more so the eye tests and how they're looking as a team, and I suppose that's kind of why I'm not feeling too concerned about stuff so far for Pentanet. I think they're looking really good. And they can only get stronger as the season goes on. Obviously, we've still got a long ways to go. So what happens in week 1 is, you know, not as big of a deal once we get to the end of the split, as long as they made it to playoffs. And once they made it to playoffs, you probably back them to make it into the finals. Yeah,
100%. Now, Jubes, it's your turn. Let's talk Order. Order have pretty much played perfectly so far. They've had a couple of crazy comps where they have pretty much no HP in terms of tankiness, no real bruises in those lineups. But we did see a change up, and they went for a more tanky, Senna-esque approach last week. Do you think we'll see the same? And what do you think are Order's biggest strengths?
Yeah, I think Order are that one team that really do stick to their identity, and they don't kind of venture off into the unknown. And that really works for them, right? They win a lot of games in doing so. You know, Chungy being the guy that plays those playmaker mid lane champs. You know, the Lee Sin, the Galio, probably one of the only mid laners we have in the LCO left that plays the Galio. And Kevy really just thrives off that, right? You know, as a jungler, as a carry jungler, you want a mid laner that plays those types of champions. So I just think that Chungy and Kevy were meant to play together. And in terms of a dynamic, Order have done very well in seeking and finding that. You know, Beats and Puma have continuously improved as the splits and games have gone on, and they're working better and better together as a 2v2. And I mean, I probably don't need to do too much of an introduction to Maximize. I mean, he's your mate. He's the most vocal one of the team on social media, so he's just good fun, good bands. And can play the game, by the way.
He can play the game. He certainly can. Someone else that can play the game at a reasonable level as well is Nat T. She's down on the sidelines. Let's bring her into the conversation. And look, I'm going to give you one goal. Don't let Chaz take over the interview today, all right? Now, good luck. Who do you have?
I've ensured Chaz won't take over this interview by making sure I'm not going to interview him today. Instead, I'm going to be joined by Praedith and Puma, the 2 bottom laners going head against each other tonight. Now, Praedith, we've seen Puma get player that delivered twice in the first week, so I have to ask, how nervous are you to go up against him today, or like, how do you think the matchup will play out?
Was he playing Ezreal in those games, by any chance?
I cannot remember off the top of my head, unfortunately.
I'm pretty sure he was playing Ezreal in one of them, so we just take that one away. And I'm pretty sure the other one was a not very good team. So no, I'm not too nervous. I think I'll do just fine.
Alrighty, well, looks like you're going to be putting it down to the draft more so than anything. Now, Puma, when I last spoke to you, you said you weren't too impressed with how the team was going. Has that changed a lot more for you? Because I think you guys have been doing an amazing job.
I think this week's prep was not that good, but I still do think that we can win today, and that we do have a chance to be like a really good team in this league.
What is going to be your main focus to try and get that win over Pentanet?
I think Pentanet normally have like a really, I guess, we know what they will play and how they will play. So I think just knowing that and playing the game like how it's supposed to be played, we can win.
I look forward to seeing that. Now, Predath, the last question that I have time for is just general prep things as well. What have you guys been working on this week coming up into the game against Order?
I think we've just been working on the issues that have showed up in our games a lot, just to do with like side lane or whatever. And I've been working a lot on just bot lane 2v2ing as well. Because I feel like I slumped a little bit there, but like yeah, we've been working on that a lot, me and Danny. So I think we're back being good, and we're versing Order's bot lane, and I actually respect Order's bot lane a little bit because they do opt into fighting a lot. So hopefully we'll get some spice down there. Although like slight problem is that they're kind of both just pretty bad, so we'd probably just stomp them, but. Like, they do fight back, which I respect. A lot of bot lanes in this region don't really fight back, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it seems there'll be a lot of action and fighting going on in the bot lane, so I'll make sure the observer's constantly looking down there. But thank you both so much for joining me, and good luck in today's game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, looks like gloves are on. And Jubes, did you say you were putting your gloves on as well? You said you wanted me to ask you about Predath's remarks in terms of saying that one of those DoorDash player that delivered was from against a not a very good team.
So he did say a few things, and he also called the Order bot lane not very good. Now, the last few games that I've seen Predath and Decoy play, they've been at a CS deficit, been solo killed, and really have been carried through the game. So my mans has a lot of fighting words, but he really needs to back it up before he just starts dropping those bombs on Beats and Puma, because I think Beats and Puma have been doing just fine. And in the last few games, if I remember correctly, there's been some substantial CS deficits in the favor of the team that has been versing Pentanet.
Jubes is saying what Puma should have said.
Warm my hands up here. There's some fire. There's some fire right next to me.
Puma's too good of a kid to say anything back, so I had to have his back just a little bit, because I know, if anyone watched the broadcast, by the way, I've been the biggest Pentanet supporter for a very long time, so it's only fair that I give Predath a little bit back.
It's all in the equilibrium. Now, let's have a quick look at our predictions as well before we do get into Champ Select, and of course, I'm going with the people and what the people think. Jubes, you're going for Pentanet, why?
I think they're just too good across the board. And, you know, I think Pabu's just really leveled up as a jungler, and he's really, really intelligent when it comes to the game. So I think he'll be able to, you know, edge a win on this one.
Okay. Now, Jordan, what about you?
I mean, it's pretty hard to go past Pentanet, isn't it? Even despite the fact that there has been a little bit of shakiness from them, they've still looked like the strongest team in the region, and I don't see any reason why that would change today. Whether or not there's going to be a bot gap, I guess, does remain to be seen. But I'm sure that regardless of that fact, the mid and top and jungle gap will be enough for Pentanet.
Ooh, okay. And Nat, let's go to the next page and have a look at what you've gone for. Everyone on this page going for Pentanet. Nat, tell me why.
I mean, look, we have seen Pentanet's bot get gapped before, but honestly, their top laner and their jungle definitely bring it back for them. Like, they're probably the two most consistent, well, yeah, probably the two most consistent lanes for them. So it's just one of those things that we've been able to see them bring it back and sort of snowball before. And I don't see why today wouldn't be any different for them.
Well, it looks like Rusty's still leading, by the way. 16-1 so far. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to catch him if he keeps up that form. He does have his birthday luck this week, at least, so he is very lucky that he managed to get that piece one over the line last game, as well as everyone else. I think I got that right, too. I did see there was a ridiculous amount of points. I think it was like 94% of the channel points went towards Peace last game or something. Maybe it was 93%. Anyway, it was a lot. It was a whole damn lot. Now, in terms of the draft, before we jump in, does anyone think there's going to be anything crazy? Do you think we'll maybe see some Vi again coming out from Kevy?
I think Kevy will be the one that spices it up. Maybe the Evelyn, maybe the Karthus, maybe the Vi. He's got the champion pool that really will, you know, shake things up, if you will.
Okay, well, I just got word. It's time for Champ Select. It's ready for us. They're waiting on us for once. So how about we just jump straight in? It's time for Order to take on Pentanet.
Sounds like a great idea, Mac. I'm looking forward to this game. I think, you know, for both you and I, Jubes, this was one of the more interesting matches of this evening. especially considering the way that Order have been going about this split so far. 3-1 scoreline, they're looking pretty good. The one caveat I have to say there, though, is that they haven't played the top teams.
Right.
So they've kind of been, beating up on some of the lower tier teams, the teams that are expected to be towards the bottom end of the standings. And I feel like this is actually going to be their first really big test. Granted, they played against Chiefs at the end of last week, and they did lose that game. So there is that to keep in the back of your mind. But Pentanet, you would consider on another level to Chiefs. And so if Order can put in a good showing today, that's going to be really good for them heading into the next few weeks.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we have to say too, Alfish, that the teams that Order have beaten, well, they've actually proven that they're not that weak. Like they've just gone toe to toe with a lot of the big dogs in the league. So I think this game's really up in the air, and it determines, and a big part of it is who wins draft. The draft is crucial. I think at this point in the game, especially with so many really strong picks at the moment. Lee Sin being one that's been picked up by Maximize, and I'm super keen to see how Order flex this one, because Chungy can play it, Maximize can play it, and Order bot lane is actually a big center team, right? So maybe it would be Lee Sin support, center 80 carry. We've seen that in Korea quite a bit.
That would be an interesting prospect to take a look at. We do have the Tristana there for the flexibility, but if the Ahri gets locked in, you might start to think that won't be the case, at least down in the bot side of the map. So Chungy, more likely than not, will be taking that Ahri away, which leaves Maximize for the Lee Sin, maybe Kevy, although we haven't seen Kevy playing it so far this split. We'll probably be expecting it to go more so towards the top side of the map. Again, similar situation for Pentanet as what we saw for Peace last draft, where the top lane, the bot, and the mid lane, you could sort of put either which way, and it will potentially work out. Obviously, Diana for Pabu makes a lot of sense. That'll be straight into the jungle. That's really no questions asked there.
I do think it's fairly unbelievable that Pentanet have managed in the first three to get Diego, Diana, and Nocturne. I feel like, in terms of global meta at least, they're probably some of the most hotly contested picks, if not the most, in terms of if you consider like Lulu, Gwen, Karma, Ezreal, like permabans. It is looking like a scary first three. I think we should just really touch on. And, you're really hoping that Order have a plan for it, or at least have expected it.
Well, you do have the center open. That's definitely a possibility down in the bot lane.
It is, but they have drafted the Tristana, right? You really only play the center. You're not going to play center Trist lane, especially not into a composition with as much hard engage as Pentanet. Like, that's so much hard engage. Rakan sometimes struggle being primary engage and having no follow-up, but I mean, Rakan can almost be secondary if need be. When Nocturne ults in, Diana follows up, and it's just a three-man wrecking ball. Yeah, and is that a lock-in? No, it's not a lock-in. I thought that was Yuumi.
Not yet. I was hoping for the Taric, to be quite honest with you. I feel like that could be pretty fun, but it'll be Leona.
I think Taric got buffed 11-13, or he's getting buffed, or maybe even the next patch. I don't know, but I feel like Taric was getting buffed, and I was excited to see it.
Yeah, he's been out of the meta for a very, very long time. It's one of those interesting champions that you don't see very often. I think he's quite difficult to play, the ultimate timing and all that. But it could actually be not a bad choice into what Pentanet did have. Obviously, a lot of dive. Regardless, not going to be the case. We do have the Leona. So, as far as the bot lane is concerned, both of these bot lanes are really, really strong. They like to fight. And that's kind of tying into what Pradith was talking about in that interview. Order won't shy away from a fight. Certainly know that Pentanet will not be likely to do so either, particularly with this setup, the Xayah and the Rakan. I think it's going to be quite explosive down there, but it might not be quite as heavy of a bot priority game as what we saw in our previous one. We do have obviously a couple of teleports there for the Pentanet roster, and they have the ability to get down. We do always talk about it with Biopanther in particular, liking to teleport down into bot, but that's traditionally on the the tankier champs, the likes of Ornn and Sion, etc., etc. So are we going to see the same thing out from the Nocturne, or is he going to spend a bit more time up in top, just trying to shove that wave in, cause a bit more problem for Lee Sin? How does that matchup work out? Because again, that's quite an interesting one as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost just a trade of farm, because they both clear waves so quickly, and they opt in for the AoE wave clear, and they really just leave lane. So you know, I think it's just going to almost be like a gentleman's agreement in top side of the map. And it's going to be what can they do elsewhere? You know, maybe Panther goes, burns Chungy's Ahri ult, and that renders Ahri useless. And then Chaz gets time to go bot side. But again, we touched on it before. I do think this is going to be a bot lane focus game as well, because Tristana Leona, in terms of the 2v2, actually beat Xayah Rakan, right? Because Rakan does not have enough tankiness, doesn't have Aftershock, and Leona can really just stand there and trade. And when you consider like Tristana's all-in burst in early levels, they can win that 2v2. So I want to see a big emphasis from Order on this bot side of the map.
All right, well, that's something that we will definitely keep an eye on for the next few minutes, but I'll leave you to it, Juice, because I have someone better to talk to. It's Calvin from Order, and, you know, how you doing, Calvin? You feeling good?
I'm feeling really good, actually, and I just want to say that Juice is a nice guy.
Juice is a nice guy. You'll be very appreciative of that, but overall, looking forward to getting your thoughts on this matchup and Order. The first thing I wanted to sort of quiz you on was just the season as a whole. Like, obviously, it's gone very nicely for you, 3-1 scoreline, but do you sort of have in the back of your mind that you can't rest on your laurels here, knowing that you've still got Pentanet, Peace, and Direwolves to play?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, you know, a really good start for us in terms of scheduling. So, and I think everyone in the team knows that, you know, we have the easy part at the beginning, and, you know, the fact that we're playing against Pentanet, Peace, Direwolves, Chiefs, like, you know, basically next to each other, is something that is, like, very challenging. And we also know that, you know, we have quite a bit of things to work on. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think we do enough preparation and practice to beat them.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously things are going pretty well with Kevy in the roster now. We've sort of touched on him a few times, being the new addition. You know, what's your thoughts on the integration of Kevy? I think Juves was talking about how he seems to synergize quite nicely with Chungy. I mean, are you guys happy with how things have been progressing in that respect?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that with Kevy coming into the roster, you know, we have a pretty strong mid-jungle duo on top of, you know, Puma and Beats stepping up a lot this year. So, yeah, I mean, our core and our identity is a lot more versatile now that we have two junglers to work with. So, yeah, I mean, I think Heavy is a pretty good addition. It's a really good addition, in fact, to our comp.
Indeed. You speak of two junglers, but what about two coaches, yourself and Omo? We did have an interview with him last week, but I wanted to sort of get a bit of an understanding of how that sort of works between yourselves. You know, like, is there a breakdown of roles? Is one of you sort of focusing on draft and the other focusing on sort of looking over the VODs, or how do you guys sort of work together, I suppose, as a coaching duo?
Well, as a coaching duo, I think we both try to share our workload. We didn't really like necessarily assign like who's doing the draft, who is, you know, doing the VOD reviews, etc. But rather, I think, you know, our knowledge together helps out a lot, because I think Omo have a different approach to gameplay compared to myself, and we can always just find like the middle ground, you know, what works the best for this team.
Yeah, definitely. Always good to have, you know, a couple of heads. I think collaboration is always one of the big key points, I suppose, in any team environment. But either way, we might leave it there for you, Calvin. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sure this is going to be an exciting game, so really looking forward to it.
No worries. Thank you.
There's not a whole lot going on in that first few minutes. A little bit of a gold lead for Order, just by virtue of some CS advantages here and there, but nothing too untoward.
Yeah, I was going to say shock horror. We've seen full clear from both junglers. Level 4 picked up and all the jungle camps cleared into a reset. And Decoy got a little bit of a cheater recall off, was able to pick up a pink ward, and while the wave was coming towards Praedyth, so not much happening. Just a gentleman's agreement across the board, really. We'll trade farm and everyone get a cheater recall off, as Chungy's done. Probably see Chaz do the same.
Chungy is definitely part of the map, I think, that we definitely want to keep an eye on. He's actually taken the Ignite instead of the Teleport, so opting for a little bit more lane presence and kill potential, as opposed to the ability to get down into that bot lane pretty quickly, which could end up actually proving quite important if Chaz is able to make good usage of that Teleport. I'm interested to see how the impact of that Ignite versus Teleport matchup actually does end up playing out.
I feel like you need it on the Ahri though, right? Like, you want to snowball the game, and you want to have that, you know, little bit extra burst when you tick 6. You'll be able to still kill, have lethal on Pabu, lethal on Chaz, and potentially on that bot lane dive that we were talking about, that Ignite will be enough to just tick it over the edge. So, you know, I get it. But, you know, a lot of the time in slower games, in competitive settings, the Ignite just loses a lot of value, right? Because Ari's not going to be sitting in a side lane and looking for that 1v1 and having the Ignite to help her. She's going to want to be around, like, in the group, you know, vision denial, looking for the one-shot, and, ooh, they get quite low. But by the time that happens, Ari's just got enough juice in the tank anyway. So, I want to see a little bit of an early skirmish from Chungy and Kevi.
Yeah, I kind of like it, actually, that Kevy's opted to go for an early dragon here. Feeling pretty confident. Maybe ties in with what we've been discussing there in the mid lane. I think Pentanet is actually pretty aware of this. I'm pretty sure I saw a couple of pings going down on the dragon. There is a ward close by that, while it may not have spotted, Kevy might have seen him sort of walking in the direction of dragon at one point. Either way, now that information definitely is given over, and there wasn't really any contest at all from Pentanet. So they're happy to see that one go over. That's fine. Early days for Order to grab a dragon. Always a nice advantage, but not a huge concern at the moment for Pentanet. And fairly similar from Pabu as to what we saw actually from Gudo the last game. Just farming up, looking for level 6 on that Diana. And then he'll start to look to impact the map.
Yeah, for sure. And it would probably be an earlier 6 from Kevi here because he picked up Dragon EXP, got his Gromp. Now he's heading to Wolves, and yeah, like that one Wolf, and he's level 6. So he's level 6 the exact same time as solo laners. The Bipanther's just hit level 6. Kevi's just about to hit level 6. So you might be able to make a play here where Pabu's just lacking that you know, that little bit of EXP because he's able to pick up 2 neutrals as opposed to Pabu playing more towards just the jungle camp clears, vision denial, and we'll see if Order want to contest, which maybe they do.
Kevy's going for a bit of a run.
Oh,
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Was it the red trinket that baited him? I think Kevy spotted him through the bush.
Well, you can't see the cooldown, right? Like,
no, you don't. No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Not when it's on the red trinket. And I don't even know. Do you see the recall animation, or is it just the animation of the champion just standing?
I might have to. Yeah, I might have to investigate. Not sure. I feel like I should know the answer to that. Might just be model.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought as well. But either way, doesn't matter.
That's quite a big win there if you're Pentanet, right? Because Chaz opted in for the teleport, and if you think about the mana that was burnt as well as the cooldown, Chungy now has to base, and so Chaz is just laughing because he's got a freeze in the mid lane. Chungy's got to reset, walk all the way back, and ooh.
Okay. It's like Beats is going to sacrifice his reset just for the sake of Puma going back. What a good support. Thankless job.
Yeah, it is. I mean, no one really appreciates that. No one's going to say, oh, Beats, good job at 8 minutes.
I did. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, but great work. You do play support, so.
Yeah.
Blue buff steal, this is actually extremely big for the context of the game. Maybe they're able to just trade blues, but you know, we're seeing the mana problems that Chungy's already having, and you look at this is going to be a contest. I don't think this is doable if you're Order. Especially fighting around the Nocturne's paranoia this early on is going to be hard. Chungy has no priority as well.
Yeah, they've recognized it.
Yeah.
But that's pretty heads-up play, actually, from Order. I think it's very easy to get stuck in the pit there. Just hitting the Rift Herald would probably be just about 1/3, maybe a little bit lower. Oh, I wonder if this will work out for them, though. Ghost invested, and that should be a very dead Nocturne. He goes one way. It's like a pinball machine. Back straight away in the other direction. Nice kick from Maximize. And first blood achieved for Order. That'll be going over to Kevy, so Maximize probably not happy. Not helping get that DoorDash MVP, but anyway.
Maybe biased, but I'm a firm believer that first blood is extremely good on supports and junglers. Because supports are able to base, get early boots, and then can move around map quicker. And like, you know, who doesn't want to support hold that?
Yeah, not likely to be too much happening there. Puma, if he's on the ball, be able to jump out of that one every day of the week. Beats showing a bit of presence, not scared at all. Good.
So it's, yeah, as I was saying, I mean, junglers get to base and look at the itemization coming from Kevi. Usually they're big one-item power spikes for most junglers, whether that's like a, you know, a Barmy Cinder, a Sunfire, or in this case, Divine Sunderer. He's well on the way. And then you think of the boots that support's able to pick up and move around the map. So I'm a firm believer in Kevi taking that kill there, or Beats.
Well, Beats already has the mobility boots, so we'll be pretty happy in that department.
Didn't want to stop that one.
Yeah, he hasn't actually looked to roam at all yet, Beats. Just been happy to stay in the bot lane. You do start to see him walking around a little now that the resets are potentially starting to come through from the opposing bot lane, but a second, is that reset cancelable? Well, Praedyth is still running around. But of course, the passive. I always forget about that one. Praedyth definitely did not.
It's hard. It's actually a hard game for Beats to find windows to roam because if you think about it, especially with Rakan being 6 now, when he leaves lane, if the wave is let to be slow pushed towards Puma, then he's at risk of being dove on the wave, right? And like Rakan can engage from a screen away with that flash. There's no cleanse, so you know it's going to be hard to buffer as well. And you know he's almost just like, I guess, playing with a little bit of fear, right? Can't let Puma fall behind. He's been crucial to Order success in recent weeks, so maybe just babysitter Leona.
Good early priority in the jungle, though, for Order. I mean, that's the second dragon for them, and we're only into the 11th minute of the game. Looks like they're definitely getting it done. Maximize able to get a little bit of XP off of the Krugs as well. But Pabu's going to go back up to top. He has the Rift Herald, does he?
Yeah, he does. Dropping it early.
Rotation's coming in from the Order lads. You can see at the moment. Heavy working his way up the river. Chungy was looking into there as well. But the Rift Herald doesn't amount to a whole lot. Pentanet are happy to just take those plates and leave.
It's so demoralizing though. Like you look at the work Maximize did there to chunk that Herald down. I think he got it down to like 1.2 before it charged. And the charge still takes away like significant amount of plates. And I mean, Maximize probably thought, he's like, yeah, I'm doing a good job. I'm going to deny a lot of plates here from this Rift Herald. But
well, what do you think about the change where you can't actually cancel the Rift Herald being put down?
I like it because it forces people to actually play around it.
Oh, flash in from Beats, but a great ultimate from Praedyth. Heavy still wants some more. Has Onslaught of Shadows available, so Pentanet needs to be careful with the feathers. They're so good, it's going to force Kevy to ult out instead of ulting in, and that's always a bad feeling when you're playing a champion like Hecarim or Malphite or whatever it may be. Not where you want to be, you know, it's not the direction you want to be headed in.
No, it's not, and it's a little bit of an overforce, right? You got to be happy taking the cleanse and the Xayah ultimate, and Taz just going to zone Chungy coming back to mid, but you got to be happy with those cooldowns because look at the CC you have. The cooldown from Leona ultimate's going to be up before the cleanse, so you have that window. So it's just a little bit of eagerness, I guess, especially because
Ellie coming through from Maximize. Should have the kick available here. This could be problems for Pentanet. Can't quite get it through, but the flash does make it easy in the end. That's the end of Praedyth. Meanwhile, in the river, Chungy under a bit of pressure, but will survive. And the cavalry arrives in every sense of the word as Kevy comes rolling by.
Yeah, it's a kill for what expense, though? You burn teleport, you burn Lee Sin Flash, and you're going to lose top turret. And you've also lost Chungy's ultimate in the mid lane, and he's going to fall down, you know, even more in this CS deficit. So whilst it looks nice for Order, you'd have to say, like, in terms of gold, they've lost out on that play.
Have indeed. There's a lot of room for Biopanther to work with now as well. You see level 10, we've yet to really see him have much of an impact on the map with that teleport or with the ultimate. So that's going to be rearing its ugly head relatively quickly, I'd imagine, now that that turret is down. Maximize will be stuck up in the top lane, making sure the waves don't shove in.
I was going to say, Praedyth might be caught here, but it is only Beats.
Well, see how patient Beats is going to be.
Well,
and in fact, if Puma can even get there, because Rakan and Diana are hanging around, Viego and Nocturne, they're all grouping up. And Puma's actually really heads up here. Look at this. He has not pushed in at all.
Yeah.
Playing very safe.
I was going to say, who caught who? And actually,
Praedyth is definitely the one caught right now. Yeah, Beats connects the Zenith Blade. That's too easy.
Yep.
That is massive. Big brain play from Order.
Now, Praedyth did say some things before the game that I had to just maybe bring up, or maybe too soon. Because Praedyth can definitely still 1v9 this game. But I mean, Beats and Puma being called a bad bot lane by Praedyth, maybe laughing about that one, right? I mean, because that is just outsmarted. isn't it? We'll
Yeah.
pencil it down to outsmarted. Beats was able to hold his composure. Puma didn't die to the 3-4 man roam, and Praedyth was just hitting that bot lane turret. But again, Praedyth is a man, when you look at player cams, it doesn't look like anything affects him, right? He's just like, oh, okay, I died, I got turret plates. Like, that's the
Yeah, I
kind
think
of
he's
guy.
probably happy anyway. He's getting money, isn't he?
Yeah.
He wanted the reset. That's probably the mentality. I want to go base anyway.
Yeah, he's got his Gale Force now, so he's happy. He's all happy. But in terms of where the money is, right? Like, it is a 1k gold lead for Pentanet, but we got to look at who's got the gold for Order, right? Because you know it's the Hecarim with the Divine Sunderer that has the gold. As we look at total gold, like Puma and Maximize are the top 2 for Order, and Biopanther, sure, he's the richest, but he's not really been anywhere. He hasn't been involved in the game, right? And I mean, there's no kill participation or no KP on the side of Pentanet, but maybe this is where Biopanther gets involved here at this next Dragon fight, because it is going to be sole point if Order get it.
And Pentanet looking to contest. They're going to run right into a charm. Chungy can't connect it. By the position. So Pentanet will survive. Pabu now looking for an ulti. Will catch Kevy. That's maybe not the ideal target, but the follow-up is certainly coming through from Biopanther and Decoy, forcing Kevy out of the fight by a vast margin. And now it's 4 vs 5. Pentanet, well, they don't get a kill, but they've essentially achieved what they wanted to, and that is control of the Dragon. Kevy on the way back does have his second smite coming off cooldown fairly shortly. Onslaught of Shadows, though, not available. He's going to have to charge in there. He'll be on the warpath. The connection is through from Maximize. A good kick onto Biopanther. Dragon in the meanwhile, by the way, did go to Pabu. And Order, this looks like a bit of a nothing fight, unfortunately, for them. Puma will just be able to jump back on out, but Beats is done. Nowhere to go. Pabu picks that one up, and a very nicely played fight for Pentanet. Like, it's a pretty anticlimactic fight in the end, but really well done.
It's anticlimactic because as soon as Pentanet see you waste the cooldown, they're going to pull the trigger, right?
Hold on for a second here, because Pabu coming in on the flank, looks for the kill onto Puma and will get it. Chungy not able to do anything about it, and he might have actually just entered there as well. Praedyth walks straight at him, says thanks very much, that was a freebie. Should not have turned around. Order, that's a big swing of gold that goes back over to Pentanet.
That was a head scratcher. I mean, there's no other way to really digest or break down what happened there.
Maximise going to try and get something done onto Chaz. Teleport is starting to come through, but Kevy's there as well as Beats. It'll be a 3-on-2. This could be exactly what Order needs. If Biopanther dies here as well, and then Order able to pick up a little bit more cash in the back pocket. Beats still on the chase. Zenith Blade just about in range, but Biopanther will get that extra move speed from his Q and get out to safety. How they've both walked away, I have no idea.
And you know what that's a product of is, it's like we're going to kill both, as opposed to just kill one, right? I mean, and that's the golden rule. Just kill one, especially in a competitive game, because if you kill one, the dominoes will start falling. Whereas you try to be cute, you try to be pretty, you try to take both kills at once, and you ultimately end up leaving with none. And that could have been a very big play there, because they would have got the bounty down onto Diego, as well as, you know, putting Biopanther in a further deficit. So, again, get out of jail free card there for Pentanet.
Oh, big player spotted bot. Pabu's doing some mental calculations. 3 plus 1 plus 1, that's 5. That means more than half their team is on the bot side. I can take the Rift Herald for free. And he's done just that.
Yep.
Oh, no chance of a contest for Order, and it seems like we're in a bit of a, you know, a nothing phase of the game right now for Order, right? They're kind of letting Pentanet dictate how things are playing out since that Dragon went the way of Pentanet.
And I think that's what's been their demise in this game. It's that as soon as they miss a cooldown, and in particular, the last few, I guess, if I'm being critical, crucial cooldowns has been Chungy missing the RE Charm, or using it like a tool that's replaceable. Whereas as soon as Pentanet see the RE Charm go down, they just hard engage. Like, Pabu just turned back around and was like, I'm going in. And they need to be a little more disciplined with their ability usage. Because it can feel like a nothing spell, right? I miss Charm, it'll be up again in like 10 seconds or whatever the cooldown is. But in those 10 seconds, in that window, Pentanet will punish you, and that's why we see a 3,000 or 4,000 gold lead at the moment.
I think also Kevy struggling to get a lot of value out of the Onslaught of Shadows. We've seen now a couple of times he's actually had to use that as an escape tool rather than an engage tool. To be fair to him, I think it's quite difficult to use it as an engage tool against a team composition like this one. I mean, what are your targets, really? Praedyth maybe, but He's going to be able to use the ultimate Featherstorm to get back out to safety as soon as you chuck the Onslaught of Shadows in. It's quite a dodgeable ability, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'll give him some credit there, but obviously it's a symptom of a greater problem, and that is that Order is kind of getting poked out of these fights a little bit more so than Pentanet are, and they're just not finding the right avenue for an engage.
Yeah, 100%. Hit the nail on the head, not finding the avenue for the engage. And you have to say they have the tools to do so. So it ultimately just comes down to not a synergy problem, but a team execution problem, right? And this is, I guess, where we were talking about, you see the levels to the game. Like, you see levels when we talk about Pentanet, and you said that, you know, they still do look like the best team. Although they may not have the strongest laning phase, and, you know, at times last split even, they weren't a team that set the world alight with how strong their lane was. They're able to just, you know, at the 8-minute Rift Herald, at the 10-minute Dragons, at the whatever the fight may have been, they're able to just flick a switch and just go and come out ahead.
Definitely the decision-making and the macro play from Pentanet that we always like to highlight. Decoy sitting on top of a ward, well aware of that. Not really under too much pressure here. He is, of course, a Rakarling. Jump over walls at any second.
Yeah. I mean, he's just playing with him. He's just laughing. Again, we need to hit the charm.
That's the charm connected onto Pabu, but straight away he goes into the Zhonyas. Will be able to survive for now. Zenith Blade goes right on top of Pabu, and now Beats is going golden. A much better looking fight for Order, but do they have enough? The Featherstorm, and all the feathers go back onto the Pentanet lads. In the end, it's a 2-for-2 trade.
Oh!
And another charm connects, but really nothing to come from it. Maximize can't connect the Sonic Wave as a result. Kaz looking for a little bit of a fight here, but that might have gotten a little bit too ahead of him. Maximize, is he healthy enough? Well, I tell you who is. Puma, but not for too long, because Praedyth is doing a lot of damage. Now it's onto Chungy, really. Maximize can help out. Nice dodge.
Oh,
Mr. Chaz. But Maximize not quite able to catch up. Man, Viego has so much mobility.
I'm convinced that champion is not balanced.
That is disgusting.
I'm just convinced. One member, it should never be if one member dies in a team fight, you lose, right? And that's ultimately what happened. Like, one person from Order falls down, and Chaz just has a field day. Reset upon reset. And, you know, just to escape, if you don't mind, I'll grab the Tristana corpse, rocket jump over the wall, use the ultimate reset for a little bit more distance if that wasn't enough, and Chungy again.
Definitely highlighted the chums. We're seeing a few more connected now by Chungy. That one of less importance than the previous couple. I need to be a bit careful.
I mean, that was a better fight from Order, right? And again, we talked about the charm being a tool that has to hit. You almost have to treat it like an ultimate when you're playing Ahri. And that's why that fight goes, you know, so well for them. That's a very good charm, by the way, on the Proto Belt. But the Zhonya's stall so much time. I think here is where Kevy needs to pull the trigger. Use the ultimate onto Parview straight away, because if he did, he denies the Diana re-engage there. And he allows his backline to just free hit. And it's almost that presence of mind of, okay, as the Hecarim, I'm going to die in this team fight, but my team's going to clean up. And maybe a little bit of hesitation. And again, Order probably can still clean up from this point forward, but Huma's just a little bit slow on the rocket jump.
Praedyth played it really well as well. You know, he had his flash so late in that fight. You saw him only just then flashing over the blue wall and being able to kite back. If he doesn't have that, if he's just a little bit out of position, if he cops that Sonic Wave instead of it going onto Chaz, that's fight over, favoring Order. So, bit of credit there to Praedyth for a nicely played fight. And he got a lot of work from the feathers as well. You know, like that's a big talking point, obviously, always on Xayah. But they were ripping through Order.
Well, I was going to say, he's turned his game around, right? Like, talk to talk. Wasn't walking the walk early, but now he's starting to walk. And he's even, maybe he's even strutting at this point. $1 million strut.
I definitely think he's the kind of person to do a bit of a strut in a situation like this.
Yeah, he is. He is. I've seen him in person. I've met him. He's definitely got the walk.
Right. Maybe that'll be some good content for later on in the piece.
Yeah, I'm sure we could get him to do the $1 million walk, or maybe we'll call it the Praedyth walk, or the 80 carry walk. I don't know how they walk.
The orb walk. How about that?
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay.
It's a throwback. I don't think anyone calls it orb walking anymore, but...
A-click, hiding, I don't know. Depends. Maybe some people don't even A-click anymore. I know FBI, 100 Thieves FBI, he doesn't A-click because he's so precise.
Really?
I used to freak out. I used to be like, how do you not misclick? He's like, I just clicked them. I go, okay. Yeah, I tried just click them too, but I miss.
Yeah. Look, I'm an A clicker as well.
Yeah.
And we must have those boom and mechanics.
Hey, you're a support. You don't need it.
That's true. That is true. Well, I play a lot of center, so there is a bit of auto-attacking involved.
Okay.
But anyways, besides the point, Chaz has shoved in that top wave, so Maximize is going to have to go and collect that. Two dragons in a row, by the way. I mean, we didn't really touch on it, but 2 in a row now for Pentanet. They got the 2 Ocean Dragons, and both of them are relatively uncontested. It sort of doesn't really feel at the moment like Order's being able to get a good contest on any of the dragon fights, and that was initially their strength in this game. They had the 2 initially. They had 2 by like 11 minutes. And we're thinking, okay, maybe Soul is on offer really early on in the piece for Order, but that kind of storyline has just disappeared.
Yeah, it's because of Order's setup, right? Like, they've never really set up with Ari in the river. The one time they did, she missed the charm. And they kind of just, you know, whiffed their, like, their ensuing team fight. So I think they just need to kind of regroup, gather their heads. The problem that they have now, though, is Chaz is level 15. And if you compare his counterpart, that's 2 level deficit. And then you take stock of itemization. So Viego being Chaz, he's just really, besides the Merc Treads, opting in for a Bruiser build, but all armor from here on out. And so you look at the squad of Order, who's going to kill Chaz? Like, it has to be, until Puma gets, you know, the full armor pen, it has to be Changi. And, you know, probably doesn't have enough juice in the tank to do that right now, just through the inbuilt tankiness that is the Sterax.
Yeah, Ludens is always one of those interesting items. Yeah. I wasn't going to mention it, but... yeah, Ludens, I mean... I don't know, like... I don't know what exactly is the quote-unquote meta build right now for Ari, but I know there was a big discussion around Everfrost when the buffs came through for that. I know that wouldn't necessarily help Changi in terms of bursting anyone down. But is the Everfrost a better choice in this instance for Changi, you know, just for that extra little bit of lockdown potential?
Look, I think in terms of lockdown, don't really need it. And he probably knows that in this instance... Ooh. Okay, nice chunk. Yeah, so in this instance, he knows he's Soul AP, right? So if you're Soul AP, you probably got to build for that. Whereas, you know, maybe if there was another AP threat, top side, maybe bot side even, or wherever you in the jungle, he opts in for the more utility route. But in this particular game, probably just favoring the damage more so. And I don't think, you know, the Everfrost would have changed this game in...
No, I don't think so either.
So it's not an itemization problem. I'm not saying you said that anyway, but... there's probably just instances for both, is where I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting discussion, and something that probably doesn't get enough light is itemization choices. You know, we always sort of mention, oh, okay, this item's been bought, this item's been, you know, picked up, and that's a good time, whatever. But we don't say, okay, well, it could have been this or it could have been that, and what are the reasons maybe for it? You see, in this case, Changi just want to get a little bit of extra damage out from the Ari.
And if I'm being brutally honest, maybe I just wouldn't pick Ari.
Well, I feel like you're doing a bit of a Rusty here.
Why? What does he say about Ari?
He hates the Ari, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's not a good pick. Like, it's a niche, and Changi makes it a good pick. That's the difference. Because you see games where he pops off, and then everyone does caster forehead, what does he know? Like, Changi's 1v9ing. But it's not that Ari's a good pick. And the Baron.
It's gone down very fast. That's what happens when you have a Tristana, I suppose. They're going to stay on it. It'd be ballsy if they did. Pabu's lurking. Beats might be caught out here. Pabu's just going to be happy with that one. It could just be the 1 kill for Pentanet, but that'll open the door for a Baron for themselves. Maximize kicks them away. Shirelia's popped from decoy. No one to chase. Guys need to be a bit careful on his own, but I mean, look at how tanky he is. Divine Sunder, Randuin's Omen, Sterax Gauge, and Merc Treads. What doesn't he have at this point?
Yeah, and you know what's funny? He still does damage as well.
That's funny. Actually, that's really funny, yeah.
And because there's also like a percent HP aspect to Viego too, right? I feel like, you know, any champion that has like a percent HP shred can just go Bruiser route, because Bruiser seems to be, at least in terms of the way that items work this season, Bruiser's just like the most efficient. You think about Gore Drinker, Stride Breaker, Divine Thunderer, Sterax. And,
ooh, Changi actually dodges the stun. Yeah, but he'll be fine.
At what cost? Like, the Ari ultimate, sure. Shorter cooldown, and he's happy to just use that, but just to gather a wave kind of paints the picture of how they're feeling in this game state.
Not very good. Maybe a bit of a desperation call, that Baron there as well from Order, and now Kevy is completely caught out. This could be another onslaught of shadows to escape, but this time he might not quite get out. Nice Solar Flare onto Pabu, but he goes golden. Should surely be dead. Zenith Blade not quite perfectly timed, it seemed like. Pabu able to flash out. And unfortunately for Puma, not able to get the damage across, so somehow Pabu survives.
And something that we didn't see off-screen was Biopanther cancelling the teleport coming out of Maximize. That was going to be a very big play for Order, but Bio managed to cancel that one and might be just a free Baron.
Certainly headed in that direction. Beats is going to get on top of Chaz. The flash from Chungy gets the charm through, but again, he's able to survive, and Puma can't get that final little bit of damage. He's just rocket jumped over the wall right into the entire Pentanet team. It'll be Beats to sacrifice himself, but I don't know that it's going to save Order at this point. The teleport in from Biopanther, the numbers are there, the chase is on. Puma and Maximize continuing to run, but the teleport is down, and Biopanther is looking pretty scary right now. Yeah. They're still going.
It's just a composition that doesn't take much damage, and that's what it looks like. I mean, Pentanet.gg are just beating them at every turn, right? In terms of the correct stopwatch, in terms of cancelling the TP, it's like those 1%ers that are really just winning them this game, and they're looking for the end here.
I think they might be able to get it as well. The dive on in, Kevy low, Maximize as well, and Puma back inside of the Fountain. That'll be the second Nexus tower to fall, and very well might be the Nexus as well. Pentanet, in the blink of an eye, look like they might finish the game off. Low HP on a couple of the members, one of whom is Pabu, and in fact there is a turn coming through here for Order, so maybe Pentanet are bitten off a little more than they can chew. That's a couple of kills for Puma. Beats did go down to Pabu in the meanwhile there, but look, I'm not going to say it was bad from Pentanet, but that is now a 6-2 Tristana.
I would say it's bad in the sense that, yeah, it was close, like you nearly ended, but also like you were never in any danger of getting outscaled. You were never really in any danger of losing this game. But, oh, 7k. But 7k from Pabu too. So, yeah, you were never really in any danger of getting outscaled. You could play this game at your own pace with the Baron. But I think Pentanet just kind of wanted to really, like, ego end in a sense, right? Like we're gonna end this one on our Baron on our first push, and it might come back to bite them, right? We have to see what Puma goes back to pick up. Is he able to pick up an Infinity Edge? He is going to that top wave. He's been on that cloak for a long time. Chungy's just in desperate need of levels at the moment. If he can pick up solo EXP, whether that's with the supers or in the mid lane, if he can ding level 16, and maybe they can contest this dragon.
Got to be careful though with your Nexus open like that. Jazz obviously having teleport. Biopanther doesn't have it available right now, but you know, 2-man TP into the backlines if there was a ward somewhere.
I think that's
you could definitely see Nocturne and Viego finishing a Nexus off pretty quickly. Yeah, there is no ward to teleport to right now, but not out of the realms of possibility.
But they've just given over Soul, no contest, because I think Puma is sitting on a substantial amount of gold. I think he has a crazy amount in the bank, like upwards of 2k.
2.6.
Yeah, 2.6. So he's really just trying to find this Infinity Edge before the last team fight. Now, what heal cut do Order have? Because that's going to be important, right? You know, you look at they have a Thornmail, they have a not a Morello's, but component of a Morello's. So
yeah, they got it on almost every single player actually, except for the Tristana.
Yep.
It'll be okay in that respect, but Heavy is forced to pop Ghost. Pabu looks for an opener. Charm thrown in, didn't connect. Now Beats under a bit of pressure, but Order need to find the engage before there's more pressure on the Nexus, and Kevy already having gone down is bad news indeed. Puma trying to auto as best as possible, does actually have that Infinity Edge, and how much of a difference does it make? Well, absolutely none when he is dead. Prated is going to pick up his 8th kill for the game. Biopanther his first, and that's the Nexus as well. Order done in 34 minutes. Pentanet happy with that win. Looks pretty cool, calm and collected. There was some moments at the start of that map where you thought, ooh, Order might actually be giving them a run for their money, but ends up looking pretty easy in the end for Pentanet.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of maybe a few hiccups in the early game. And when I say early game, you know, first 5 minutes. But after that, first 10 minutes even, Pentanet started to kind of show their experience as a team, the grit that they have, and they really took over that game. And one thing that I think we need to take away from this is you can't give Pabu Diana anymore. Just too many games now where he's just pulled the trigger and really brought the game back from what was a little bit of a shaky start.
Well, there's a jungler you might like to pick up, Mac, Diana. I know you've been struggling on
already.
Pretty much every single champion, so there's a little helping hand for you.
Wow, that is exposing me and not necessarily correct either. But Diana is one I've been wanting to pick up. I just don't think I've actually bought her yet. So maybe that's the next one to try to master. However, first things first. Beats, great job at 8 minutes helping Puma reset.
There you go.
That's something that Juve said no one would ever say. But it's happened. Now, that has been a damn good game. Order, you know, it took them a little while to sort of get going. It was a bit back and forth, but again, you know, towards the end, then Pentanet really just put their foot down. Again, macro gameplay seemed to be their forte, just knowing what to do, when to do it, and how to end a game. So even after that first initial push didn't go their way, and it handed over an extra 3 kills or so to Puma there, it was looking a little bit scary, but in the player cams, PGG cold as ice, never worried, and were ready just to push in for a second attempt. But there you have it, Pentanet with another W on the board. Order couldn't quite go toe-to-toe, and it just feels like maybe there was a bit of a draft diff here, Juice.
Yeah, a little bit, I think so. I mean, we talk about the Ari being picked up and how we're not at least Rusty and I aren't big fans of it.
Yeah.
And it felt like anything in the mid lane in this game would have been a little bit better. But again, what is it? Results-based analysis, and that, I guess that's the business we're in. But, you know, again, like, not been ever a really big fan of it. He does make it work sometimes, and I think they could have been better suited to even having the Galio in this game, right? I mean, it was banned away in the final pick, but, you know, they could have picked it earlier potentially and comboed that with the Hecarim, so he's not just diving backline on his lonesome. But, you know, back to the drawing board, it wasn't all bad for Order. I think there's a lot of positives to take away for them.
Yeah, I feel like everything kind of went right. I was looking initially at PGG's draft and thinking, damn, that's not really tanky at all. But then, you know, you got the Viego going full tank build anyway, and then there's a lot of health there over on the Nocturne, so it sort of worked out anyway, right?
They got a lot of bruisers in that composition.
Yeah.
And the Sterax, like, if you can build a Sterax or a Zhonya's, it's like inbuilt tankiness. It's like the stasis gives you a few extra seconds, Sterax gives you a few extra seconds. Before you know it, the team fight's already won, and they do damage, by the way.
By the way, we do have Nat on the sidelines as well. So let's bring Nat back into the conversation. Nat, how did you enjoy that game?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I feel like it was, you know, quite interesting for the first bit of the game, but otherwise felt a little bit stock standard. You know, Pentanet just sort of getting that mid to late game in their favor, so it was good.
Yeah,
Good
just
game to
sort of scaling back into the game, kind of like Split 1. Now, who do you have to chat to for the post-match interview?
Well, I thought about this one for a while, but I decided that I would give Chaz another chance at being a good interviewee. Chaz, how are you feeling after that win?
Pretty good, thanks. Pretty fun game on the Viego. Got to do some spicy resets, so yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, it looks like it. Now, for the early-ish and kind of mid part of that game, it looked pretty even. Is that how it felt for you guys too?
Not really. We felt like pretty in control. Like, the early deaths were a bit brief, but like, I feel like we can't lose to this team. But so I feel like this team's like pretty like even with Chiefs in terms of like skill, but I feel like we won't lose the Order ever. I don't think we will drop one game to Order no matter what happens. I feel like completely in control against this team. I think like stylistically we just beat this team. It's like maybe they can beat Peace or like Diables, but I don't think they can beat us. Whereas like I think Chiefs can beat us. So I don't know. I feel fully in control against this team always. No matter what's happening, it feels very like easy.
I'm going to note down, and we'll see if you can go undefeated against Order for the rest of the split. That's my main takeaway from what you just said there. I do want to ask, with the draft, were there any particular players that you were kind of trying to draft around or gameplay styles that you were going for?
No, we're just picking like strong champs. We just pick the strong champs, and then like our bottom two, we just kind of pick what they play. Like our first rotation is, well, our first three is like Nocturne, Viego, and Diana, like 3 of the strongest champs on the patch, and they picked like Ari, Tristana, and Lee Sin. Like, not like Lee Sin's really strong, but Tristana and Ari are like okay, we just won the draft basically because we just have better champions straight off the bat. So like they're just putting themselves in a hole pretty much. Not much they can do after that point, in my opinion. Those champs aren't that good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the draft looked very great for you guys. And the last question I want to ask is a little bit about that dragon fight. The one where you guys ended up getting your first dragon and the turnaround that happened. Like, walk me through it from your point of view with, like, the calling and the engages.
I can't even, like, remember it that much. Like, I remember it was, like, pretty close, but... I was a bit scared we were going to lose a dragon, but somehow we got that too. But I don't know, we were just like playing at our range. I honestly, I can't like picture the fight that well. Like it's not like in my head. But
that's
yeah,
all good.
I think we were just like saying like keep cutting back, like we still win. But I'm pretty sure like we busted 2 ultimates straight off the bat or something. And it didn't look that good from there, but like we still felt in control. Like I still had my reset available and my ulti, so as long as one person dies, they kind of all follow from there. It's all about getting that first kill. Even though we wasted, I think, Dyna and Rakanal, it was still okay. Yeah, all the fights just seemed very like easy for us to play out, just based off team comp, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we saw that happen. You know, you'd get the one kill and then all of a sudden everything was just lighting up for you guys. But congratulations again on the win, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You do.
Well, my day was great, and my night's gotten even better because there's been 2 jam-packed, action-packed, bloody games so far. And look, we do have another player that delivered thanks to DoorDash, and I think it's no real surprise here. It's going to be Pabu yet again. So this is not his first time around the bush. $100 extra here in vouchers for DoorDash to Pabu again. So really just doing a good job. Look at that, 11 assists, just 83% kill participation as well. That's a whole damn lot of action that one man brings to the table. Jubes, tell me why Pabu's such a god in the jungle.
Not Pabu's first rodeo, but I think on the Diana, he really just pulls the engages very well. Like, he really identifies what's cooldown is down, what's up, who's got summoner spells, and what's the win condition. So, you know, giving him the Diana, it just enables him to start fights on his own terms. It's a simple engage tool, and the team's willing to follow up his calls, and that's why he's the player that delivered. And he's also a very good ambassador for when he actually utilizes the DoorDash reel. He actually posts it everywhere. If you follow him on social media, I find it hilarious. He's just he just plugs everything. I love it.
Yeah, he's such a great guy, good gentleman all around, and that's exactly why he's the DoorDash player that delivered. If you guys like a tune or two, like a Rat Jam or a Cat Jam, exclamation playlist in chat, make sure you enjoy today's Song of the Day from Warner as well, because we're going to another break before match number 3 of the day. It's going to be Direwolves taking on Legacy just after this. Don't go too far.
Very well might be the Nexus as well. Pentanet, in the blink of an eye, look like they might finish the game off. Low HP on a couple of the members, one of whom is Pabu, and in fact there is a turn coming through here for Order, so maybe Pentanet are bitten off a little more than they can chew. Pabu looks for an opener, Charm thrown in, didn't connect, now Beats under a bit of pressure, but Order need to find the engage before there's more pressure on the Nexus, and Kevy already having